Three, two. Welcome to the iRacers Lounge. I'm your host, Mike Ellis. iRacers Lounge is a podcast for the iRacer where we talk all things iRacing in a casual setting. Joining me are the usual characters, Greg Hectus.
What up, everybody?
Hey, new wheel guy, Brad Wren.
Hey, everyone.
And David Hall.
It's showtime.
On today's show, find out the top 10 cars you should buy on iRacing. We are under 100 days till the Sim Gaming Expo. Revisit the increased time slot experiment. Show you how to get overlays for iRacing. Are the new wheelbases being released a wake-up call for SimiCube? And which NASCAR driver and new spotter used iRacing for practice ahead of the Coke 600?
That's right, Mike. And remember that you can follow along with us on your PC or your mobile device in real time as you listen to the show and see for yourself all the great topics and products we'll discuss by visiting iRacersLounge.com. Select the show notes. We hope to see you there.
All right, the first thing we're going to talk about is pro driver iRatings. This is an Instagram post, and since in the pre-show, Brad was complaining about the volume of Instagram posts, I'm not playing it. So y'all just tell me about it.
So if you click on it, you can play it without it doing the volume, by the way. But yeah, it's kind of interesting. I mean, looking at some of the NASCAR, or not just NASCAR, but racing superstars. He looks at Will Power, Alex Palou, Kyle Larson, Dale Jr., Fernando Alonso, and of course Max Verstappen. Dale Jr. at a 4,500 I rating. Kyle Larson is on there as well. Surprisingly, a D on dirt road, that was pointed out. And dirt oval, only a 1,396. You think he'd be higher on the dirt oval, you know, the Chili Bowl winner and so forth?
He's racing for real.
Yeah, I don't think he uses iRacing very much for certain things.
Especially dirt.
Will Power, 4,800 on Formula rating. That's impressive.
I think Max was the overall winner there.
Max is on it when he's not even supposed to be on it, and he's supposed to be focusing on other racing, so it's kind of not fair.
Well, Fernando is in the 5K range on both Formula and sports car. And like you said, Max takes the top with somewhere around 9K.
But the question is, did Max say he was the best ever driver all around? Period. That's a flashback to one of our arguments in the chat. All right. Anyway, the next item is a post from Greg Hill about the track retirements that follows up on a lot of kind of some of the same things that we said, that eventually it just takes too many resources away if they continue to maintain all the old tracks. He's pointed out that even the refresh process that they've been going through with all the current tracks has slowed some other projects down. And he particularly noted that whenever they put a new track out and retire an old track, they don't charge you.
Well, yeah, I mean, he came out and clarified, I think, what the scenario was. Was the original communication a little too blunt, maybe? I don't know.
Well, I mean, I think it's as we discussed last time. I mean, it's, again, it's a resource issue. And again, if you're going to have to continually update every track that's in there, every time there's a shader change, every time there's this change or anything like that, it absorbs tremendous amount of resources. And he notes in the post that, you know, with them moving to the new graphics engine, it just doesn't make sense. You know, I get the nostalgia part. There's probably a handful of tracks that I think need to be kept just because of what they are. But I mean, at the end of the day, like I said in the chat last week, I mean, I want to race on the same version and the most up-to-date track that is possible. So when I turn the TV on a Saturday or Sunday, I want to drive the same thing. I don't want to drive something that's 10 years old.
I think it's a great idea to keep just a couple of the really, really major historical tracks, so to speak. But otherwise, I'm in the agreement. And then I went back and thought about when the last time I drove on the old Daytona was, and I couldn't recall.
Do you think that maybe this could have been handled better, where this should have come out with them taking certain things away and explaining why they did it? Like, it seemed like they're doing PR afterwards because of the blowback. It's something maybe they could have been gotten ahead of.
Well, hindsight's 2020. Okay, so you can't reply until you have something to reply to. All right, and so I mean, they probably thought they put enough information out. There was some blowback, and he comes out with a good reply. So yeah, so what if they had to reply instead of hitting it out on the front? Who really cares?
Yeah, I mean, look, I completely understood the issues, of why, but again, there is an entitlement crowd in this service that thinks they should have everything all the time, forever and ever and ever. And look, at the end of the day, we don't own a piece of this content; it's all leased. So that's the thing you got to remember. I don't own anything. It is all a lease, and I'm using it. If they lose the license at some point, then you know what? I lose the content. That's just the way it is.
They could go belly up any day, and you could be out of the service in general.
Now, he goes on to explain a little bit about how they could recreate, everything, but it's, like you said, a resource issue. So they have to make tough decisions. And so he also said there's other technical debt regarding each track beyond the graphics upgrades that I won't get into. But there are additional reasons besides just the look of these tracks. And he says, quote, "It's a quality versus quantity type of decision."
Is he saying a debt? Like, is it like obviously if they have the track, if they've made a newer version of it, they don't need the older version. But if it's a track that they're getting rid of that we don't need anymore, is that like a licensing fee as they're talking about there?
No, when he says technical debt, he means it costs them money or resources to adjust these older products. For example, like for example the X3D audio. Maybe the older tracks haven't had that audio update or whatever, and so it has to be converted, and so that's resources that have to do that. I'm just, I don't know if that's it, but that's just an example. But yeah,
that's a good point, because one question I was going to ask out of curiosity as a what if is, could they roll some of these tracks back to tech tracks and just ditch all the graphics and just have the surface?
At the end of the day, what's the point? I mean, again, if you're gonna especially if you're gonna launch a new graphics engine and all of that, then you're touting all of that, and then we're gonna go ahead and say, oh well, you can go back and run this old track with a 3D mesh, and that looks horrible.
It's kind of like when they got rid of the website. Why keeping the website stuff there if you're gonna switch to the UI?
Do we even?
Well, that's a whole different story, man.
No, I'm just saying, like, you eventually just got to say, hey, this is what it is that we're keeping, and then the other stuff's got to go.
Wasn't Long Beach only partially built for a long time, but you could actually race on it?
For like 10 years.
Yes, but again, it was, I don't, they had not done all the optimizing and all that stuff that they've done with the sim since, to where, yeah, I mean, just the amount of buildings. I remember when it was released. I mean, the amount of buildings and all that stuff was insane. But it's no different than, what is it, New Jersey? Is it what New Jersey Park that's never been finished? Is the road course up there?
But they have a whole bunch of new ones that they're going to start doing here probably soon. It sounds like coming.
Mexico City.
It wouldn't be a bad idea if it didn't cost them resources, if somebody really wanted to run it. But that's not going to be me, so kind of really don't care ultimately. All right. iRacing, are you listening? What do you think, Mike?
Well, that's what DJ EJ says. He says, "Hear me out, iRacing. This would be your best-selling car of all time." And he shows a 3D rendering of the Oscar Mayer wiener car.
It would sell for a week, and then the series would go away like every other gimmick we've had.
Dude, I want to race this Oscar Mayer wiener in the rain at the Nord.
Oh, I figured you were going to say Mount Washington, that other track that never gets used.
Mike wants to get his wiener wet.
I'll pass.
Ouch, Greg. Okay.
So he doesn't want to just go one way. That's what you're saying?
Clip that out.
I'm afraid not. All right. You might say that we were taking it too far. Don't you think, Brad?
Well, not us, but I got a post on X here from Nathan Tog, he say his last name, asking for a lifetime ban from an individual that I guess was in a race with and ended up, finding his Instagram and is now apparently threatened to burn his family alive. So, I mean, we've seen this stuff before. The toxicity, the toxicity of stuff. I mean, look, it's just. I mean, what we got into the lobby last night, Dave. What were we 45 seconds into the 3-minute warm up, and it was somebody dropping f-bombs at somebody. I mean, it's just.
Yeah, we're not even practice a warm up with 15 seconds left. The guy the guy was probably like, okay, time's up. I'm just going to let my car wreck. I'd do that sometimes as well. I would just be like, I'm going to go hit the wall just because I know the session's literally ending and it's not consequential.
Yeah, but I mean, this is look. I get it. There's no place for this stuff, but it doesn't need to be on X. This should have been, reported directly to iRacing, and that's where it should have happened, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. There's 2 penalties here. There's the guy who was trying to burn his family alive, over the social media message thing, and then there's the guy calling out the guy who did it. Look, you can't post this stuff in public. It's against the law rules to call out somebody. He's got the guy's name here as part of the screen picture, the screenshot. So he is calling him out by name. iRacing's not going to like that. They're not going to like either one of these guys and what they did.
They better handle it properly, though. Like this, I get that it sucks that he shouldn't have put it on social media. But come on, this is way over the top. You're just being stupid for no reason. And this guy
is this
you're
know. Saying a 1-week penalty, Greg, or? Well,
I don't care what the guy doing posted on social media. If he feels threatened, at least he's warning people too about this guy, right? I mean, I don't know if this guy can actually do anything to him, but
no, the other guy, the 1 week for him.
Oh no, the other guy should be gone. You don't.
Gone.
It's no different than anything else that you. I think threats is in the lifetime ban part of the rules on iRacing.
Especially when you put it in writing, huh?
Well, and he also he used iRacing's name in his text too, so that doesn't really help.
I even tagged him.
Yeah, I mean that's the issue. It gives the entire service just a smear mark, which is not needed.
Now the only question is how does he 100% know that this is the guy? Because there's nothing in that post that matches that name.
Again, that's why it should have been handled just directly with iRacing.
Yeah, iRacing would have to go turn around and trace the IP on that. Is that a Facebook message or it's some kind of DM?
His Instagram is what he said.
Yeah, it's an Instagram DM.
All right, let's move on to some brighter topics. Winners from the past weekend in the greatest day in motorsports, which will no longer be. Actually, I think it'll be just as great because who cares about Monaco? But here we go. We got 3 winners, and all 3 of them have iRacing accounts.
Yeah, we were just talking about iRating on some of these guys. Lando Norris, his Formula I rating 52.29. And then Alex Palou, of course, who won the Indy 500, formula rating of 9,002. I had no idea he was that high. And then Ross Chastain, who won the NASCAR race, 3982, respectable Class A.
I don't think I ever seen or knew that Ross was on the service.
No, I haven't seen him.
It would be interesting to go back and go look at his racing history, see if he's even been running lately.
It's just iRacing showing off, that all the best, motorsports people are in iRacing, which I think pretty much everybody in racing is in iRacing at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's showing off. It's just, again, you're repping your business, and I think you just continue to show validity and the usefulness of what we do.
Especially when they're learning road courses, you can really get the rhythm down of a road course off of the sim. Next up, we have a video featuring the top 10 cars to buy in iRacing, and that's in this guy's opinion, because this will all kind of come down to what you want to drive. If you're not a road course person, you probably wouldn't touch hardly any of these.
Yeah, basically Ollie got his impression of what you should spend your money on. I'll rattle off the list real quick. Ferrari 296, Porsche 911 GT3, Dallara P217, the Cadillac GTP, the Ligier P320, the BMW M4, Porsche 911 GT3 Cup, of course the F4, Super Formula Light, that one surprised me, and then of course NASCAR Truck, that token oval vehicle for his list.
Here's the question I got for you guys. Would you take any of the? Well, obviously, a lot of these are road courses. Would you put the Cup car in a top 10? As a suggestion.
Only if you're an oval racer. If you're a sports car or IndyCar guy or European and don't care about stock car racing and ovals, no. And we don't even like the car. We run it because it's what the pros run. But it's I can see why he put the truck. He probably put the truck on there because it's a lower class and easier for somebody who focuses on road to get in on rather than getting up into Class A.
And it also has high participation.
They've been teasing me, David, this week with the horsepower nonsense. Actually saying that they may switch it to 750 for the short tracks this year at some point. Man, that would really make us like the car differently, I think. I don't know, but to Brad's point, you mentioned, Brad, it's probably not enough dang horsepower because of the stupid garbage all over the bottom of the car. It has too much downforce and the tires are too wide.
Yeah, that's the biggest issue, I think, is the tires.
It's still it would still be better.
Yes.
It would be better, yes.
750 is what the Gen 6 had, though the Gen 6 didn't have as much downforce.
Right.
Are we going off into a horsepower tangent already?
No,
You were teasing me.
Yeah, I think the Cup car is fine at the mile and a halves. I enjoy racing that car. Memory trying to remember what it was like to race the Gen 6s. Back in 15 when I got off the service at the mile and a halves wasn't fantastic, but I do like the current car. At the mile and a halves, you have to get creative, and I think the racing there's been fine. I think the racing.
I hate the mile and a half because it's literally it's pack racing. It's horrible. You don't get to drive the track.
It's pack racing because there's too many cautions too.
Maybe.
That Ferrari. That's they're replacing a Ferrari coming up here, right?
Yeah, so the 296 was a good option because you could run it in GT, you could run it in IMSA, you could run it in the Simicube Sprint Series, but they had the Ferrari fixed series as well, but that's being replaced with the actual correct Ferrari 296. In the
So it's
next
a
build.
it's a good list of sports cars with a couple of Formula cars. The Indy car is not in there. But yeah, I mean the Caddy is probably one of the more popular
3 and 4
cars. Definitely the Dallara. That's a good one to run if you don't want to mess with the hybrid system. The only one, I mean, I guess you could start with the Porsche 911, but a lot of people end up owning quite a few GT3s because they have the biggest variety of strengths depending on which track you go to, and they don't always get BOP'd in the regular
It's
season.
usually the Porsche or the Merc, right? Those are the 2 popular ones.
Not the Merc as much anymore.
No?
No, the Acura, probably the McLaren and the Porsche are the 3 top. And those are the ones that are usually, in the top 3 or 4 every week when it comes to BOP preference, being the most beneficial.
Does the Ford show up in there too a lot?
Certain tracks, but not a whole lot. And again, Apex Racing puts out usually a post every week on X with BOP for the GTP cars and all the GT3s, and we're talking, you're talking sometimes hundredths or tenths of a second. There is no difference. My lap times can be the same no matter which car I get into, and most of us are not that elite to where it makes that much of a difference. Find a
That
car
is
that
absolutely true. Yeah.
Find a car that you like. Stay in that car. If you stay in a car, you consistently get good with the car. When you bounce around all the time, I'm not talented enough to do that, and I get into that trap sometimes too. It's like, oh well, I'm half a second faster this week if I jump in this car. But at the end of the day, I think you get more enjoyment if you just pick one